It's now 5 o'clock. I'm sorry.
I call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Do we have anyone for public comment?
No one's signed up.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to the city attorney.
Okay, let's move to item 3, workshop. And I believe that one of your members has requested to go through the charter one time, and then we'll go to the draft report in the narrative.
Okay, what page are you looking to?
So, yeah, I just want to come back to, was it 3.04? You know, we talked about the percentage, and what dawned on me was our original, or the reference case we had was the 30% of actual voters, right? You know, right now we have 15% of registered voters, right? But our reference case that people had voted on and everything was 30% of actual voters, is that right?
I'm not understanding the question, sir.
So a while back, the charter had 30% of actual voters.
Yes,
Okay. Our 15% of registered voters is equivalent to 200% of actual voters. And that's what kind of dawned on me leaving, was like, if that's the case, we've gone the wrong direction. And we moved from something that's supposed to protect voters to something else. So my thought there was, I mean, again, it's all because of our turnout percentage. I think we said, we looked it up, and the last, maybe what are at large election had about 7,500 voters. So if you have 7,500 voters out of 100,000, okay, and you say you need 15% of registered voters, that means you need 15,000. And 15,000 is double what showed up. And so that's essentially 200% of registered voters, whereas in the past, the reference case was 30%. So again, because of the way we are set up and the way we are doing things, I think we have gone potentially the wrong direction. Or inadvertently, and it's very, because people have said with 30%, and it sounds like that is lowered to 25, 20. I think you last time shared, the percentage has been dropping, but I don't think people have understood I don't want to say it's denominator, but the factor, one is registered and one is actual, because the disparity between those is so large. I don't know that we've fully appreciated the impact that this that means. Does that make sense? Does that follow a little bit?
I
So-
think I understand what you're saying, but you took 15% of the actual,
No, 50% of the registered.
of the registered.
So the numbers I'm using, and just, if they're wrong, then tell me I'm wrong, but I think we said registered was close to 100,000, was that right?
I'm not sure, but it's good for the
A
example.
round number.
It's an easy
no, it
fix.
wouldn't be that high. If our population is 111 and we're gonna have a good portion of those are children.
Okay, I heard last time, so I had walked away last time, someone had, thought I heard registered voters were close to 100,000. That might not be true.
I think it would be lower based on the number.
Okay, let's say 75,000. Okay, so still you've got, if you had 7,500 people showing up last time, 30% of 7,500 is like 2,200, 2,100 people, all right? If we're saying 15% of 75,000, what is that? That's still close to 10,000 voters, right? So that is significantly more than what we originally had. And is that what we intend? And that was the challenge. I was really just kind of working through that, is that we've actually gone potentially the wrong direction. And is that what we intend? That's what I wanted to just.
So just to clarify what was originally there, it was a hybrid. So originally, before the 2018 commission changes, it was initiative and referendum, 30% of those voting in the last election.
Right.
And then for initiative and referendum, recall for mayor and at large was 25% of registered voters. And they dropped the recall from the 25 registered to 15. And then the recall petition for district was 20% of registered voters residing in the district, and they dropped that to 15% of registered voters. So it went down for the recall of the electeds, but based on your math, it went up for initiative and referendums. It went from 30% of those in the last election to 15% of registered. But for the recalls, both of them were registered voters, but the numbers went down.
Okay, so maybe I've got my things, but when I look at the model charters, those that had, or the other people's charters, when you had actual voters, 30% seemed to be the number. When you had registered voters, it was, 5 to 10%.
Yes.
So, anyway, so I thought ours had been 30%, and I'm just talking about the recall, not the initiatives. I thought we had 30% of, actual voters at some point.
25% of registered and 20% of
Okay, but I
registered.
thought that, okay, I thought you had some history that had said
And
30%.
was the initiative. It was 30, 25, and 20. It was not consistent.
Okay, all right, well, anyway, nonetheless, I thought there was okay, so maybe my memory from that, some other information was being shared was 30% of actual, so. Anyway, it just seems like, the 15% registered still is even more than that actually voted. And that's like you're still having that disconnect. So that, I just want to test that, whether we had.
That change, you are correct. Last election increased the burden for initiative and referendum. So that is correct, but the, recalls, the burden was lowered.
Anyway, that was my thought, was just, wait a minute, are we still in the right line? Because I think one of the points was made last time too, was a good one, is that, people are not happy there, you might get a little more increase in that, but if we're saying that, it's informed voters and, we needed 7,500, I don't know, it just seemed like we still had a very high threshold and it wasn't necessarily protecting the voters like I think our intent was. It felt like it might be actually an extra layer of protection for the council, to be quite honest, if the threshold was that high. So I just want to retest that in our minds, but if we're still good where we are, or maybe that's my information was off, that's.
I'm
fine.
good. I mean, what I'm saying is everything got lowered, 25 to 15, 20 to 15, on the recalls, and a petition could be anything.
Yeah,
I'm
not sure.
good with everything. We've talked
All
about
right,
it.
okay, well, all right, thank you for listening to me. It just seemed like we're requiring more people to recall than actually voted, and that just seems to be a disconnect.
We're requiring less people for the recall, but if you want an initiative or a referendum, you want to put a new ordinance, repeal an ordinance, to substantially increase the.
15% of 7,500 voters,
No, the
75,000 voters.
the recall has always been,
Okay, but-
registered voters.
Okay, 15% of 75,000 is close to 10,000, 11,000 actual. And we only had 7,500 vote. So that's what I'm saying. We would need more people than voted to
Yes.
initiate a recall, even with the 15% of registered voters.
Yes.
And if we're good with that, okay, but that still felt like a disconnect to me, so, okay.
Did you have a recommendation?
My recommendation, well, was either to go back to, I thought it was 30%. My recommendation at the time was to drop the number of percentage of registered voters down so that you've got something closer or just below those that actually vote. Again, because given our large disparity between actual and registered, if it was closer to each other, then it would be no fuss, but it's just recognizing that, so. My recommendation has been to drop it to 5%, maybe even 10%, but. Anyway, I just wanted to test that sound right, that we needed more people to recall than actually voted.
Yes, and that math, yes, we would.
Yeah, so,
I think we're good on it.
You drop it too low, then you can get a whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
no, remember we said that neighborhoods for the districts, you can't out somebody else's, something. I mean, if you're from a district vote,
At large and mayor, but not.
but you'd have to mobilize a full neighborhood to impact an at large, but the neighborhood one can't mobilize an out recall, District 2's candidate, that's already protected in here.
Yeah.
So,
And the petition just forces us to call the election. You still have to have the turnout,
anyway,
but.
that was just still a disconnect in my mind, I just didn't think we were protecting the voters, but.
Well, your math is right.
Your math is right, okay, I feel better about that.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Would you like to go through the draft report for the commission?
Yes,
we're just going through this one, right?
That's the PowerPoint. I'm not sure if you can see it, but let's go to the draft report, because it's basically a copy paste of the PowerPoint. So
Oh, here, yeah, okay, no, we're good.
Now, page,
5 of 22.
I'm going to.
everybody see, I would like to make a motion that any commission member that has not attended any meetings be removed from this report.
I second.
All in favor?
Favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Buddy had a chance to review. I looked at it last night. I didn't see anything that stood out to me.
I didn't see anything.
No, I think this just reflects the red lines. essentially,
Did you miss
Red lines.
it? Did you want to add any more?
I was good
I
with it.
think we're good.
I'm good with that.
Okay, you want me to sign?
I know you, I'll give you a green copy to sign.
Okay.
That has the yellow box filled in and a deletion of the commission member who has not been here.
Okay.
The PowerPoint that I would propose, Mr. Chairman, to present has been attached. The only change I would make to that based on your comments for the report would be slide 3, just removing the last name.
Okay, I'm good with that.
But otherwise, it's basically,
Yeah, I looked at it earlier and I saw no changes I feel need making. Everybody else good?
it's basically a cut and paste from the final report.
Just watched it out here.
And so the next steps would be that, we get on the council agenda for you to present this. And if you will all show up, sit in the first row, smile at the city council, your illustrious chair would get up there, go through the PowerPoint. The council members will thank you for your time, and if they have questions, this is your opportunity to huddle around the mic and answer their questions as they see.
Okay.
And, at the end, they will make a determination of, yeah, this was great, thank you very much. So thank you for your time. And if they don't have any questions that require additional action of you, you will have one final meeting to, approve the minutes from last week, or last meeting and tonight. And we'll say thank you so very much until such time we call the election, and we may need your assistance at that point in time. After the meeting, we'll have another workshop sometime in June. And council will say, yes, this is the administrative changes we want to make. And you may have noticed that some of these say administrative changes.
Yeah, I just,
So
yeah,
you
clarify
have
that,
got to
yeah.
explain that. So we are allowed to make minor changes
Yeah.
without going to the electorate. So these changes that are marked administrative, we can go ahead and make without needing a vote. So if council says, yes, I like that, add in the language regarding the third year. Taking out the taxi cab and the bus, we can go ahead and do that without going to the voters. The other changes that you're recommending, resign to run, the change for the, judge. The franchise from 50 to 25 years would need to go to a ballot, and the council would say, yes, we like those, no, we don't, we want to make these changes, we think 34 years is more appropriate. And I can say, you like 34 years, all right, you 34 years. I go back to council with the language that will be appearing on the ballot, we'll call an election, and we go from there.
So anyway, yeah, so the only ones that would go to, potentially to the ballot would be the judge, 4.06 and 204, right?
The general powers to change the length of the franchise from 50 years,
So there's 3 of them.
would have to go.
Okay, I,
Resign to run, I mean, it's, so you have 3 recommendations.
okay,
Council could on their own, make additional, make additional propositions based on their report to their first meeting. I don't think that will look good.
And worst case scenario, we go there and they said, oh, we're not, we're not satisfied this and that, then we just have more, we'll have a lot more meetings to.
I don't think that's the worst case scenario. I can spend more time with you all, but yes, if that's the worst case scenario for you, then yes, they send you all back and you spend a few more Wednesdays with us.
I'd be glad to.
Yeah.
Yes, there have been times where they, I believe the 2018 Charter Commission made a report, they did a presentation. And they said, well, have you thought about this? And you recommended this, because they wanted the resign to run for everything, and they sent them back and said, we want you to look more at the resign to run, or there should be an internal, external, and they had to do quite a bit. But what was interesting is at the time, we had 2 council member candidates on the Charter Commission. Jacobson and the chair, David Gornett. Jacobson was appointed and, he was uncontested race, so he automatically won. And then Mr. Gornett did not win. So it's an interesting process as we're going through it, to have one of the Charter Committee members go from sitting behind the dais up on the dais when they're going through the presentation. So it was a fun time. Yes, they did get sent back for additional research. And there were a couple of joint workshops where they all came in, we sat in the cane room and talked about the various language, the propositions, and made sure that everybody on both the commission and the council were happy with the outcome and understood the rationale and the reason, and we worked through some of the language as well. So hopefully they're happy with your things, but if they want you to do more, they'll send you back. And you'll spend a few more Wednesdays with us.
Fantastic.
So, once we find out what council agenda we're gonna be on, we will go ahead and send an appointment to you all.
Okay.
Okay.
If a quorum of you is able to show up, then we'll go ahead and, mark it as a possible quorum. And at the meeting, if they're happy with the report and they say, good job, I will hand it to you and you can all sign off. For those of you who are not able to attend the meeting, we'll send it to you electronically and you can sign electronically or come in a later date.
So the May first meeting is, does something got scheduled for us for May first?
May 7th is the next council meeting.
Well, I
May
thought,
7th.
I don't believe.
May 1st.
What is May 1st?
yeah, something came on the calendar
May
for.
1st, okay. May 7th is a Tuesday. That's when they're usually on Tuesdays.
Yeah, Brandon said it.
May 1st. Okay, so that's 2 weeks from today, in case we need another meeting.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, hey, you can have the night off, because I think that there's nothing left for you to do
Right,
until we get in front of.
okay, good, so we'll cancel that meeting.
Yes,
The next meeting is yet to be determined, basically.
Yeah.
yes,
And it'll be at council.
yes, and then once council is like, yeah, we like this.
Yeah.
God bless you. We will have one more meeting for you to approve minutes from last time and for tonight.
Okay, we're good. I shall call the meeting to close.
Thank you all very much for your
Thumbs
time.
Well, thank you for all the administrative work, so we can get this stuff out of here. All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
For the opportunity, yes, that was quick,
Very interesting.
very quick today.
I really, I've got an education from this.
Good.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope that this has motivated you to sign up for other boards and commissions.
did.
Good. Did you sign up for legislative
I did.
council boards?